Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
If I don't sound like a typical politician, it's because I'm not a politician, if that's okay. And if I don't always play by the rules of Washington and the Washington establishment, it's because I was elected to fight for you, and I fight harder for you than any president at any time in the history of our country.
Oh, this is it, election eve. It started way back there. The minute Trump got elected, the battle began. Let's walk through this, right? The battle began the minute Trump got elected. Front page, Washington Post, the day's inaugurated. The march to impeachment begins. He survived impeachment, 26 accusations of sexual misconduct, and an estimated 4,000 lawsuits. Yet here he stands on an eve where we have no idea what's going to happen. I can't tell you what's going to happen. My gut says one day, I think Biden's going to win. The next day, I said, I think Trump might pull this out. By the afternoon, I think Biden is going to get this thing. By the end of the evening, I'm like, no, I think Trump has it. It is hard to tell, partially because there's no enthusiasm on the other side. The only enthusiasm that exists on the left side of the aisle right now is getting rid of Trump. That's not really enthusiasm. That's just a disdain for another human being. That's not, I'm better than you. Look at my policies. It's these guys suck. That's it. These guys suck. Do I know what's going to happen? No. Do I believe any of the polls? I believe some of the polls. I believe it's closer than people think. But how close is it really? Is the shy Trump voter real? The latest IBD, Investor Business Daily, TIPP poll, has it essentially within the margin of error. 48 to 46. And obviously you've got some underlying people out there who are going to get one or two. But this is kind of what it looks like at this point in time. That's within the margin of error. They got it right. The Trafalgar Group, which does more and more polling based on a lot of different things, but most of it has to do with state by state rather than the national. We always look at the national. National means very little in the Electoral College. What matters is what states you win and how you win them. Ohio, Trump up by 5. Michigan, according to them, November 1st, Donald Trump up by 3. North Carolina, Donald Trump up by 2. Arizona, Trump up by 2. Nevada, Biden's winning by 2. Florida, Trump up by 3. How real is that? I couldn't tell you. I do know this. They got it right last time.
Your polls are so different than the broad number of polls out there. Can you tell us what you're seeing, Robert?
We are different. And what we're seeing is a movement toward Trump with late breakers. We're also seeing folks that had initially given every indication they were going to support Biden or they were undecided, moving toward Trump. And the issue we see moving on is shutdowns.
Shutdowns big. Let me tell you why. People are getting scared about shutdowns. They're worried that we could be heading for another shutdown in a time where what? Well, this should be the fourth quarter, Christmas, a chance for businesses to maybe claw their way back into survival mode rather than bankruptcy and shutting down. They're looking across the pond.
The current regional measures simply aren't doing the job, hence a more drastic move to a national shutdown to curb the virus spread. Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
From Thursday until the start of December, you must stay at home. You may only leave home for specific reasons, including for education, for work. Let's say if you cannot work from home.
Medical officials here say without this strong measure, the UK health system could be overwhelmed within weeks.
So they're looking over there and they're saying they're shutting down. France shutting down. Germany shutting down. But, Chad, our numbers are rising. Our numbers are rising. But people are at the point now where they're like, look, how many people are surviving this versus how many people are getting it? Well, people are dying. I get that. I absolutely get that. Mortality rates dropping tremendously. We're not talking about that. Why? Because of, as I always continue to say, panic porn. Everybody wants to show. Oh, my goodness. People are over it. Even people who are against Trump in every way, shape, or form are at the point now where they're like, I can't do another who knows how long. And I think this has a lot to play in it. You got the likes of Gavin Newsom in California going, all right, you can have a party for Thanksgiving, but no more than 3 households. So if your son lives away and he comes, that's 1 household. If your daughter lives away, she comes, that's 2 households. Your household's the 3rd. Now, grandma and grandpa, they're not allowed to come. Well, they could get sick. They possibly could. They can also die of loneliness. Let's stop this stuff. It's ridiculous. You have to be outside. And they start walking through these bizarre things. That's insane. Sorry. I was talking to my mom. She lives in California. So what are you going to do for Thanksgiving? She goes, whatever I want. That's what I'm going to do. She goes, you know us, Chad. She goes, we don't do anything crazy for Thanksgiving. But I'm not going to say I'm going to limit this and we're going to eat outdoors. At some point, this has just become stupid. I will take the calculated risk to have my family around. It's nuts. People are worried about this. People are looking around and thinking, if Biden wins, could we be headed for a prolonged lockdown if we see things spike again and we don't have the vaccine quite ready, or we don't have the vaccine that is effective as we need? Oh, my goodness, could you imagine? There is that. And the other side of things, too. People aren't talking about this. Go look at the polls. Most polls are like, Biden is going to handle this better because he's more caring. I don't know what that does. I get it, but I don't know what it does. Well, he's got more empathy. I know, but does that equal results? At the end of the day, does that equal results? I don't know if it does. I've talked to several people about this, and I said, what is it about the way that you think Biden's going to handle it? He's going to have a national mask. Well, he can't really do that. He's not going to do that. He's not going to have a national mandate because states will have their own states' rights, so he's not going to do that. That's the way we were set up. Yeah, but he can recommend it. Again, that's fine, but states are going to allow states to do. Some states, like here, where I am in Arizona, you know what? The governor said every mayor in your city will decide what they want to do. Okay, so away they went. So tell me, well, he's going to do more testing and tracing. At this point, we don't even have the manpower for that. At some point, no matter how early he started, we're not going to have the manpower. Well, most of the people have no idea where they're getting it, and they're saying now that a lot of it's probably coming from home. So what are we going to do now? Limit the amount of people that can be in your own home? I think we're here now. Now, how do we live with it, through it, and around it? But people are worried about that, and they're worried that the economy is going to take even a bigger hit. I get that. I don't know what's happening tomorrow night, but a lot of things are going into it. Could this be a break for Trump? That's a late breaker again? Because remember, if we look back to 2016, and we've talked about it ad nauseum, go look at the late breaking when it came to Trump. Places like Wisconsin, he broke tremendously, almost 30 points to the good. You go look at what happened in those remaining hours where the independents, the undecideds, broke hard for Trump. And in breaking hard for Trump, they handed him the presidency. Could that happen again? Yes. Could it be a boat race? Yes. Could tomorrow, by 9 o'clock Eastern, Trump be so far behind that it's over and done? Absolutely, that could happen.
Even young people who identify that they don't like the president, they like shutdowns even less. Even suburban women who say they have problems with the president, they like their children at home and shutdowns even less.
Robert Kahali there, Trafalgar Polling, he's the guy that right now is calling it for Trump again, which he did again. Again, we remind you, 4 years ago, he called it for Trump when nobody else did. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. COVID, which in many ways, I think a lot of people thought, hey, it was a blessing in the political world for the Democrats. Could this be a late surge, not just in cases, but in fear of what may happen? Can you imagine next year? Just let me paint this picture. Because already the Democrats are talking about, well, we're going to relook at some of these vaccines. Okay. We may slow it down a little bit, go back and take a relook at it. Okay. We're going to take a look at a lot of different things at the beginning of the year, especially if Biden's there. Could you imagine in February or March we're going back in again? And this time it's a national mandate that they're trying to do, telling everybody they got to stay in and that they're going to slow some things down. And that's what people are looking at. People are getting nervous because I think a lot of people think, we're going to get through this thing, I think, quicker, potentially with Trump. And it may not be perfect, but I'll take the calculated risk as opposed to what I don't know may come. And if I don't know if I can stand any more lockdowns, not just when it comes to the finances, but mentally. Look at the abuse cases. Look at the alcoholism, suicide. All of these things are rising. People are struggling. We brought up the vets about 3 weeks ago. Normally, 40,000 phone calls come in a month when it comes to mental health illness, when it comes to veterans. They're averaging almost 900,000 since this began. Something to think about. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. All I know is this time tomorrow, it's on. It's on. Will it be a giant red wave? Or is it going to be the tsunami that the blue hopes it is? And they win everything. There is always that possibility. I'm not saying there's not. I'm going to paint both sides of it today. So be prepared. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from you. Car Shield 24/7. Roadside assistance. A rental car for free while your car's in the shop. And the shop is the shop that you choose. They get them paid directly. What do? Simple. You pay a small deductible and away you go. Now, maybe your car is maybe a car's 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. Average car on the road right now is about 11 years. And cars are lasting longer. They're built better. But at some point in time, that check engine light's going to come on and you're going to get worried. Are you worried about the sensors in your car from your electronics because it's a little bit newer? Or are you worried about the engine, the transmission, maybe the air conditioning, things of that nature? CarShield has you covered. Plans start as low as $99 a month. You call 800-CAR-6000. Use code Benson. Saves you 10%. 800-CAR-6000. Code Benson saves you 10%. It is amazing what they're able to do. And like I say, call them. Be specific on what it is that you're looking for, and they get you handled. 800-CAR-6000. Code Benson saves you 10%. Or carshield.com. Carshield.com. Code Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
She said, no, I need to fill it out right now.
That was the reaction from an Orange County woman about to give birth after Karen Briceño handed her a mail-in ballot and told her to send it back by November 3rd.
It was an odd situation, but she wanted to vote, and that was her right as an American citizen.
She voted. That's how crazy it is. People are going to great lengths. How big will it be tomorrow? That's the one of the big mysteries. We've already had, I've said I thought we'd get close to 95 million by the time we actually go to the polls. We're going to be right around there. Maybe a little bit more, but probably between 95 and 100. Would have had 138 million vote last time, somewhere around there. Maybe 135. That's, if tomorrow, and this will be a great indicator of how this is going to go. Obviously, Florida's huge, but a lot of people are waiting to the day, especially the Republicans. The prevailing wisdom has been what? On the run-up, it is mostly going to be Democrats. And I think it's probably 60-40, 65-35. But on the day, you flip that. Are we going to have 100 million people vote tomorrow? Probably not. Are we going to get 70 million people to vote tomorrow? Yeah. I would say right around there, 60, 70 million. That is a huge, huge day. That is a massive, 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 massive haul. And if that breaks hard for Trump, that's great news. It's huge news. if that breaks super hard for Trump. But I don't know. That's the thing about this, is nobody knows. People have ideas. People think, well, like I said, I'll wake up one day and think, I think Trump's going to, get blown out. And then there's times I'm thinking, I think Trump's going to win easy. It's just tough to say. Polling is all over the place. You heard from, Trafalgar Group and Investor Business Daily, TIPP, but every poll's different. Most polls have Biden walking away with this thing and don't even know why we're having this thing tomorrow.
According to our latest ABC News poll, early voters favored Biden by just 3 points, and the majority we spoke with said they'd already voted or planned on doing so early, leaving just 17% as Election Day voters. Florida always keeps it interesting.
Yeah, but you would think Florida is a place where Biden was hoping that lead would be 12. It's only 3%. If it breaks hard tomorrow for Trump and he only gets 10% of those 17%, so he gets 10% instead of 17% to come out and vote tomorrow, and that breaks hard for him, like 70%, he'll have a chance of winning Florida again. And as it goes, if Florida breaks for Trump, expect a long night. If Biden wins Florida, he wins North Carolina, I think you can put, you can put it in the bag that it's going to be Biden's. But one thing's for sure, this is going to get very interesting between the lawsuits, which have already started, and the potential for chaos. And we're going to talk about that, why most people believe this is the most stressful day of their life, which is beyond me. But apparently it is. We're going to talk about that as well. And I give you a little case for each one of them and against them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Plus, the generation that nobody cares about. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Some star power joining the Biden campaign.
We're almost there. We need to talk.
Today, Lady Gaga joins Biden for an event in Pittsburgh, and John Legend set to make an appearance with Kamala Harris in Philadelphia.
Oh, does that mean anything? I don't know. Probably not. Well, you've got better music, I guess. You've got Hollywood and you've got the music industry outside of the country industry. But outside of that, that's all you have. You don't have anything other than that. You don't, am I going to vote? Because, John Legend told me to vote for him because he's nicer. A lot of what it comes down to, right? Do you want this a-hole that's a liar as the president of the United States? Or do you want this guy who's a nice guy, but by the way, has lied tremendously as well and has said things in the past that if anybody else said it, based on the fact that he's president right now, we'd be having a different conversation. But as much as the left wants to go lefter, they know America's not quite ready for that. And then you have the chaos that may ensue.
People are prepared for more broken windows, more things, threatening small businesses and big businesses after Election Day. We're seeing it in Washington, D.C. We're seeing it in New York. I imagine we're going to see it throughout big cities and probably medium-sized cities across America over the coming week, regardless of the result.
That's scary. I mean, they were showing places around the country where they think there's going to be some chaos, that they're boarding up windows. They're boarding up everything. They're locking everything down that has nothing to do with COVID or any other social injustice because they think people are going to go crazy. According to a new study from one poll, 55% of Americans think Election Day will be the most stress-filled day of their life. They examined 2,000 adults focusing on stress caused by COVID-19 and the presidential election. Nearly 6 in 10 can't imagine being more stressed than they already are, while 67% want the year to be over now. That's crazy. That is. They said the political tensions running high, but pandemic is still number one on the list, and 50% believe the election is the most stressful aspect of the year. And I think part of that is because it's a singular day that we can point to, that we've been fighting over, that we've even made the coronavirus part of this election. So people are stressed and they're worried. Is stuff going to burn? Yeah. Is there a possibility? Is there going to be civil war? I get asked that more now than anything else. Chad, is there going to be a civil war? Do you think something's going to happen? I'm preparing. I'm like, what are you preparing for? Civil wars. Where are you preparing? What do you think's going to happen? Are you somebody coming to your house to fight you? Well, no, I don't think that. What are you preparing for? Well, unrest. Where's unrest going to be? It's going to be in a few cities across the country, potentially, which we've already had throughout the summer anyways. So what do you think's going to take place? You're going to have to go there and then challenge somebody that you find that is against your beliefs and to fight them? I don't really think that's civil war. I think there's going to be unrest. I think the unrest is going to be, look, whoever wins is going to have a chance to spike the ball. If Trump loses big, if he gets beat bigly, people are going to spike the ball in Trump supporters' faces, which will piss them off. If Trump wins, and he wins big, but if he wins, period, they're going to be able to spike the ball in anti-Trump faces, which will piss them off. Then you'll have the usual group of people that really don't care about the politics, but like the chaos. And they're the ones who scare everybody the most. Because they're not really concerned about the winners or losers and how it shapes anything. They're more worried about the chaos of situations. Meaning, Trump wins, great. People can have a chance to get pissed off and throw things at stuff. If Trump loses, meaning, hey, it's great. We have a chance to say that he got it stolen and we can start throwing things and the chaos begins. I think the average person just doesn't give a rat's ass. They're just going to be like, look, I went, I voted. Whatever happens, happens. And we move on from there. That's what I believe in my heart is going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen. I think we, like Y2K. Remember Y2K? We were going to lose all of our money because they forgot to do something in the code system, and then we were never going to be able to access anything ever again. Never happened. You can go back from the time I was a child. Many of you don't remember this, but before climate change was the it thing for a lot of people in the battle that the young take on because they need a great battle to fight. Before that happened, we were supposed to have an ice age that never appeared. It was on the cover of, I think, Time magazine, the coming ice age. Never showed up. We've been told, growing up in Southern California, I've been waiting for the big one forever, and it never arrived. And the ones that did, while they were big, was much worse talked about than anything else. Even as children. Wait till your dad gets home. You'd start thinking in your mind, oh my God, when mom and dad find out about this, you start going through things in your mind about this, that, and the other. And this is the average. Yeah, are there people out there that are awful? We all know that. But all of us have done it. You remember watching the movie The Christmas Story as we've turned the clock from Halloween to Thanksgiving, if you will. But do you remember that? When Ralphie got into a fight and beat up the kid, but as he's doing it, he's using all these horrible things. And wait till your dad gets home. And the entire time he's plotting in his mind how he is going to be destroyed, how everything he is dreaming of is going to be torn apart. And then what happens? Nothing. That's kind of what we tend to do. We tend to overthink. We overanalyze. We never go to a place where we think, Let's think about the good that could come out of this. It's always the negative. And that's not good. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Now, what may happen? Let me give you guys this. I want to break this thing down on the both sides of the aisle, the for and against, the pros and the cons, if you will. The pros and the cons. And I know what some people are saying. There's no cons when it comes to Trump. There's no cons when it comes to Biden because he's not Trump, and vice versa. But there are pros and cons to both. For Biden, he's a good dude. We have lost some civility, and that's not just in the presidency. That's throughout us and our world that we live in. He's had 47 years. But when I ask people, what about Biden that you like? They don't really have great answers. You know, well, I like his tax plan. What about his tax plan? Well, it's progressive and it's okay. I mean, okay. But what about? Well, I like what he's going to do with COVID. Well, what do you think is? A lot of what it is he's just not Trump. And for some people, that's the biggest pro of all: is he's not Trump. The biggest, huge, mass thing that you could say, oh, this is the most massive thing about it. He's not Trump. I get that. I don't think his tax plan is the worst thing in the world. I think that, but you can do a lot of different things with it. I think some of it's misguided, but I think Trump's tax plan got it wrong in places as well. I wouldn't have touched the personal income tax. Rich people don't pay that. They just don't. You know, Steve Bannon says, hey, Trump, tell them it's going to be 50%. They don't care. They're not paying it. You know that better than anybody. But I think it will hit small businesses in ways with Biden's plan that I don't think people understand. Will he improve our standing in some places on earth? Yes. Why? Because he's a nicer guy. Trump scares people. He's uncomfortable at times. He's loud. He's obnoxious. He's boisterous. He's got a shelf life. He does. We've all known that. He's that friend that'll bail you out of jail. He's that friend that might put you in jail. He's that friend that's been on your couch too long and your wife's like, it's me or him. But he's also that friend that's always there for you at times. And you're like, why is that? Biden's a good guy, but is that enough? Well, his climate. Look, we could talk about the climate. It feels great. But the reality is when you go and start looking at all the stuff that he wants to do, it'll damage us more than it'll help us in the sense of the economy. But it's not going to change anything when it comes to the environment itself. And why is that? Well, it's pretty simple. Because if nobody else is really participating the way that we're supposed to, what does it matter? We could go on foot only, no energy whatsoever, and China and India and everybody else are still going to be able to do the damage they do, and it won't change anything. The cons? Well, the cons for me when it comes to Biden is pretty simple. I'm not worried about Biden. I'm not. Who's crazy? He's not crazy. Does he have some incidents? Yes, where he loses it.
Barack and I think it's a right for people to have bad health care. Bad health care.
Yeah. They think it's right to have bad health care. But I don't think he's mentally deranged. I don't think any of those things. But I worry about what's behind him. It isn't I worry about Biden. I worry about what's behind him. What is behind him? Far left, uber far left. People who want to design something to live above, not under. More control for the federal government, less control for you. Crazy identity politics, which I can't buy into. I'm sorry. It's just, that's the thing that scares me about Biden. Overregulation, more government in your face, more government all the time. And that scares me. No, a second term of Obama third term of Obama, if you will, wouldn't scare me. But Joe's not Barack, and the reality is behind him is scary. Other side of things, President Trump. And I'm going to break down the pros and the cons of him. straight ahead because there's plenty of both. There's absolutely plenty of both. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from every single one of you. Rough Greens. So you guys know I've been giving my dog Rough Greens for a long time. So your dog, what? Your dog eats the food. Oh, the food's fresh. We spend great money on the food, Chad. Now, dog food's not meant to be living. It's meant to survive on shelves for a very long time. So what Rough Greens does is it brings it to life. Vitamins, minerals, fruits, vegetables, digestive enzymes, tons of probiotics, as well as omega-3, 6, 9 antioxidants. You name it, it's got it. It brings it to life. And it's changed my dog, Doodle, tremendously. His hips were so bad, I don't worry about that now. He doesn't cry out when you try to pet him. He doesn't growl or nip at you. He runs, he plays. My puppies take it. It is amazing. Check out what Rough Greens is doing for you. They're so confident that you and your dog are going to love Rough Greens. They're going to give you the first bag free. You heard me right, free. All you do is pay $6.95 for shipping. It's a $30 value, and your first bag is free. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad or use promo code Chad at checkout. It has changed my dog's life. If you love your dog like I love my dog, try this. What do you have to lose? It's free. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad for your free bag today. RUFFgreens.com/Chad for your free bag today. Chad Benson Show.
To be free. I am not a terrorist. I am not Antifa. I am not a sex slave that wears masks.
Don't be a cutie pie.
Probably sit around and cook some soups and eat bread and desserts and just get all fat and sassy.
You're ruining my life, man!
You haven't seen anything yet.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
An unprecedented 93 million Americans have already voted, double the 2016 early vote total and about two-thirds of the total vote from 2016. The early voter turnout is historic in three southern battlegrounds, Georgia, Florida, and Texas, which has surpassed the total vote from 4 years ago. Younger voters between 18 and 29 and 30 to 39 have increased their share of the early vote total.
Yeah. Who does that favor? Well, that probably favors Biden. Big time. But tomorrow will be telling. So I made the case for Biden, is he's not Trump, right? He's going to tell the truth all the time, Chad. Well, slow your roll. They're politicians. Let's remember the difference between somebody who is out there yelling, I'm the greatest of all time, look at me, I caught the biggest fish, I wrote the greatest book. None of those things are true, but the reality is none of those lies hurt you. Where lies politicians tend to tell are lies that backfire on the public. We buy into it over and over again. The case for Trump, because there is a case for and against him. Let's talk about against Trump. He's Trump. It's a pain in the ass. It's chaos. There are lies. Over and over again, there's scandals and all kinds of things. No president has been scrutinized as much and probably deserves as much scrutiny at times as President Trump has. He has surrounded himself with ne'er-do-wells and hanger-ons that should be nowhere near the presidency, let alone anything else. We get that. The actual case for Trump is a little different. It's governed pretty well. Got a lot done. You go and look at the median income in this country, we talked about it last week, was up tremendously. The economy did extremely well under him up until coronavirus, and could it bounce back faster than we think? That's a possibility. He took on immigration, and we can easily all stand together and say the way that he took on the children and the parents was awful. But nobody else really took on immigration because they've all played a game with it. He's gone to our allies and said, you guys need to start paying your freight. Yes, he's pissed some of them on and he stepped on toes, but a lot of people step on toes. And quite frankly, there's nothing wrong every once in a while stepping on some toes. He's not got us into any more wars. He's got us out of stuff. Yeah, he has. Yeah, that he has. He has got us out of stuff. Go back and look at Obama's record. Look at Trump's record. when it comes to bringing troops home and it comes to starting stuff, I think you'd be surprised. I think we all would be surprised. I like some of the stuff he did with taxes. Some of the other stuff I haven't liked. The regulation thing is massive. Cutting regulation after regulation that is ridiculous. You know it and I know it. At some point, we're no longer regulating. It's controlling. Opportunity zones? Huge. Well, Chad, he didn't. No matter how many times he condemns white supremacy, you'll ask him to do it again, and he won't do it the way you want. So at the end of the day, you're still going to say he's a white supremacist. So that's in your mind. You don't like Trump. Doesn't matter. But the average person's looking around going, But you go and look at the things he's done, the actions, not the words. You can make a case for him. You can make a case for both. And you can make a case against both. Choice is yours. For some of you, you've made it. For some other ones, you'll make it tomorrow. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, it says the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
President Trump is terrified of what will happen in Pennsylvania. He knows the people of Pennsylvania get to have their say. If you have your say, he doesn't stand a chance.
Joe Biden rallying the crowd, getting them super excited. It's time to get rid of this yahoo in the White House.
When America's heard, I believe the message is going to be loud and clear. It's time for Donald Trump to pack his bags and go home.
No! Oh.
Time to breathe some life back into this nation.
There you go. There you go. Look at him. There you go, Joe. Settle down. Joe rocking it there. Trump having his say as they make the final bid to win over the people of this nation and to get a second term.
If I don't sound like a typical politician, it's because I'm not a politician, if that's okay. And if I don't always play by the rules of Washington and the Washington establishment, it's because I was elected to fight for you, and I fight harder for you than any president at any time in the history of our country.
Who wins tomorrow night? Well, first of all, you know who wins? We do. Why? Because we're Americans. We got to go to vote. All right? We got to go to vote. How awesome is that? The beauty of it is you got to go vote. Some of you didn't have to do anything but get something in the mail, fill it out, and mail it back. Others, they wanted to go be part of the process during the day. They went, they mailed it in, they dropped it off, or they went straight in, waited in line, in some cases, hours upon hours, and they get a vote. They're going to do it again tomorrow, and then that's going to be it. Then they'll start counting up those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Some of them have already started counting, but they can't announce anything until later on in the evening tomorrow night. Others won't start counting until either today or early tomorrow, on top of what's coming in tomorrow, which could be huge. The bigger it is tomorrow, the better it is for Trump. Prevailing wisdom is he wins on the day, but then when you add everything up by the maybe Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it could be a flip, and next thing you know, Trump loses. Here's something else to watch out for, the Senate. And I'll tell you why. What may happen tomorrow is you may find out before who wins the presidency what takes place in the House. Right? The Senate, Congress. Could the Senate flip? That could be a good indicator of what may be happening at the top if we don't get the numbers. But we win tomorrow. You have to worry about going to the polls. You have to worry about any of that insanity. Do you remember the first time they voted in Iraq? Like really voted. They went to the polls. People were terrified. Suicide bombers, death squads, people ready to come out, some who had sworn allegiance to Saddam at all costs, and others who just wanted to have their say in the chaos and the lunacy. People stood there in line. Stood there. I don't worry about any of that stuff. Is anybody worried about a suicide bomb tomorrow? I'm not. Are you worried about chaos? No, not really. A lot of people are. Right? They're boarding up stuff. People are worried about the what if scenario because there's always that kind of thing. You've got the police out there.
In Beverly Hills, police are bringing in an extra SWAT team from a neighboring city. Police are hiring 80 armed private security guards to augment officers, and stores are being told to board up.
All these different resources help the Beverly Hills Police Department.
In Rhode Island, an emergency operations center is opening in case of unrest. And here in Washington, police have canceled all days off. Much of downtown D.C. is boarded up now ahead of tomorrow night, with protest groups vowing to take to the streets as results come in.
They've already got it ready to roll. But we're still going to go out. Nobody who's going to, oh, Chad, you just don't understand. This is civil. It's not going to be civil war. Everybody settle down. But we win tomorrow night. That's the beauty of it. We got to go. What about the suppression of the vote? That's just, you know what? Everybody's looking for something. Some sort of boogeyman. What's the boogeyman here, Chad? Well, you can only drop one ballot. They've only got one place to drop a ballot. Or you can go vote in person. Well, still, what if you don't? Everybody's always looking for some sort of excuse. We can't make it any easier in this country. But we apparently need to. For some we need to come to your house, help you fill it out, drop it off for you. It's like fast food. We have DoorDash. We have Uber Eats, right? We have all of these things now. It's like not only can we get food, we don't even have to leave our house. The greatest. It's nuts. We win tomorrow. That's the beauty of it. Who wins the race? I don't know. Is it Trump? Is it not Trump? Could there be chaos, or is this going to be a few days of uncertainty that we may be looking at?
What will happen on this election night is not easy to say at this point, but it's already clear that it's not going to be easy or tidy. President Trump, after all, has made it clear that he's not going to walk away very easily. And there are all those absentee ballots to be counted, which will take a long time. So we have another extended presidential campaign and election night to look forward to.
Yeah. It could be a 2 or 3 day process. That is always a possibility. The lawsuits are already flying in when it comes to places like Texas. That is already happening. This is going to be a process. So you've got legal battles starting before the actual battle itself.
The Texas Supreme Court's already addressed this, and now a federal judge who is known as being very conservative has agreed to hear this case on the Monday before the election, before even Harris County has had a chance to respond. So the county in Texas hasn't even filed paperwork saying, here's our response.
Yeah, because of mail-in votes, drop-off ballots. I mean, it's not just here, it's nationwide. These things are happening.
If it's close, you are going to see an enormous number of fights, not just over how long ballots can be counted, but which ballots should count. Remember, a lot of this is going to be with regard to mail-in voting. And there are different requirements in all the states about exactly what is needed. Signature matches, witnesses.
Yeah. Now, the signature match, like, that's the thing that gets me. I mean, should your signature match, minus a damage to your hands, or you getting much older, right? Like, if you know, 30 years ago, your handwriting may not be the same, but it should be close, right? Like, if it's not even close, then that I think that's a fair question. I don't know why we don't do fingerprints. It's not that hard with the electronics and the thing we have. You should be able to do some things rather quickly in this day and age, I would think. But at this day and age that we live in, what's that cost? Who gets involved? Who makes money? Who plays the game? Who gets to challenge whom in court? That's the reality of it.
What it would certainly happen is that if this federal judge invalidates them, the Harris County will appeal to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and it could certainly end up in the Supreme Court. So the votes will be there, right? They'll be able to tally the votes. They'll be able to count the votes. The question will be, will they actually be counted in the final tabulation?
And that's where everybody's going, look at what Trump has now. He's got a 6-3 lead in theory in the courts, 5-4 at the worst. So if it did happen to go to the Supreme Court, and I think a lot of people are assuming a close race, it probably will end up the court system and eventually at the Supreme Court. What took place in 2000, Bush v. Gore, was much different because it was a singular state on deciding the hanging chads, what should or shouldn't be thrown out. This will be different because you'll have plenty of different courts across the nation that could be potentially looking at signatures. You know, when was this counted? Should it have been counted? And should this be thrown out? Should this be added? This could be chaos. And it's 79 days from Wednesday till Inauguration Day. And the thought process is that they could use up all 79 days along the way when it comes to the battle that could be. Now, in saying that, Biden can blow Trump out. Could make it so look, it doesn't matter. You lost by 20 million votes. Even if you said there was 5 million fraudulent votes, you still lose by 15 million votes. Trump could win big, surprise everybody. And then what? Does Biden fight everything? I don't know if Biden's ready for that fight. Trump, I think, would fight more than Biden would. But at the end of the day, if Trump wins by 8 or 10 million votes, if that was to happen, I doubt Biden's going to fight it. But outside of an absolute destruction tomorrow, don't expect anybody to concede. What could be telling, though, Florida, North Carolina are big. If Florida goes Biden's way, it could be a long night for Trump. The second thing is look at the Senate races and the House. If they break towards the Democrats, you can probably think to yourself, it's probably breaking towards Biden. If the Republicans hold serve, then who knows? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Raycon's best earbuds around, E25s, less than $100. I'm going to show you how you're going to save more, which is awesome. And these E25s are incredible. The talk time, 6 hours. We've talked about that. The sound quality is second to none. We've talked about that. The bass, all of these things are awesome. But to me, what makes it all go together is the design, how compact it is, and how it fits. The noise isolating fit is amazing. It truly is. Whether you're making video conference calls, whether you're taking calls, no matter what it is that you're doing, you hear them, they hear you. There's no stems, there's no wires, there's none of this craziness. And when Ray J put these together, he took them to all his buds. He took them to Snoop Dogg, Melissa Etheridge, Brandy, you name it, and said, hey, check these out. They were like, these are it. And the cost price, well under $100. Raycon has a 45-day free return policy, so you can make sure they're the pair of wireless buds that you want. Plus, you're going to save 15% right now. The E25 earbuds from Raycon. Get yours. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Save $100. Save 15% off the best earbuds around that start well under $100 by going to buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old intranet. What's trending? All right, let's take a look around the interglobes. See what's happening on the interwebs. Find out craziness is going on. Start over in the world of Q. Lots of stuff trending. As it should. As it should. A lot of NFL stuff from yesterday. Today, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp loses his London libel case involving Amber Heard. Veterans Day observance set. Are we allowed to celebrate? Voting polls, the exit polls, and what they're doing with the exit polls this year and how they'll work, because we've already had close to 100 million people vote. We'll probably be there by tomorrow. What they've been doing is like a consortium of people have been getting together, taking their exit polls, and they're going to put it all together of the early and then the day of. And then you'll get that because that's long been one of the big things that people watch for is the exit polls through the night. As stuff starts to happen, exit poll here is this. It seems to be breaking this way or that way. So that's what that is going to be doing and the way that they're going to be doing that. And that includes even mail-in ballots, talking to people who've already mailed their ballot in. And going from there, that's, all the big networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, and, of course, the CNNs and everybody else in the world. Head on over to Twitter. You got Vote Responsible. Lady Gaga endorses Joe Biden. What? Yeah. Yeah, there's that. There's that. I didn't know that was happening. But it is. John Oliver criticizes Trump over his response to COVID-19. No way. He did that? Yeah, he did that. Totally? Yep, absolutely. Totally did that. You mean he criticized Trump? Yeah. No. Is it serious? Yes. And the FBI, what are they doing? They're investigating alleged harassment of the Biden campaign in the bus kerfuffle. Now, if you guys didn't hear this or saw what took place in Texas, but essentially Biden's bus was overtaken on their bus tour by the Trump folk.
We shut it down, baby. We shut it down.
There's some Trump supporters that have showed up behind the Biden-Harris bus that has been traveling all over the country.
I'm calling you, lady. Your little Biden-Harris sign is not going to do anything. They're lying to you, and you're a sheep. You're a sheep.
Funniest thing I've ever seen, man. They're like chasing him. This is in New Braunfels right now. And they're like, look at this. They're like literally escorting him out of town.
Yeah. So now the FBI is going to be looking into it. It was not a good situation. It was not a good look. It's okay to go and to do your thing, but at some point you cross the line, and that's what they're looking at.
A law enforcement source tells me that the Federal Bureau of Investigation is now investigating this incident. We know based on some of that video, we see that bus traveling up the I-35 corridor on Friday when it was swarmed by vehicles sporting Trump 2020 flags, especially this volunteer vehicle that was trailing the bus. We're not talking about aggressive maneuvers that were swapping paint. I mean, you see some actual real damage on that vehicle. Appears to be very dangerous moves there by some of these Trump supporters that were trailing that bus.
And that's just asinine and stupid. You need to do better. You do. You absolutely need to do better. And look, Biden, and to Biden's credit, in a lot of places he's gone, there's been a ton of people welcoming him with not so open arms, if you will. So he's showing up and he's doing his drive-in things in certain places. And as he's driving in, there's, X amount of cars, 100, 200 cars, whatever it is on the inside, but there's 5,000 Trump supporters outside. It is, but to his credit, he's tried to rise above it. This was a little bit much, and they're going to look into it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter, tweet, text. Love hearing from every single one of you. We're not even 1 day away, kids. We're hours away from go time. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Buddies over there at our new affiliates talk out there in Allentown. People are buying guns at a record pace in Pennsylvania in the run-up to the election. You think? Oh, my goodness. And the funny thing is, if you go and look, who's buying guns? It's people who are what? People who normally wouldn't buy guns. Not the Trump supporters. We think people on the left don't buy guns. By the way, one of my good uber progressive friends, I've talked about it here before. Last week, we're talking, remember Don Lemon's like, I had to break up with all my friends who were on the right side of the aisle because whatever. So, and I was saying my two best friends are polar opposites of each other. And both of them are huge gun guys. They're huge. Both. But a lot of people that are buying guns right now are people who are not the typical gun owner, but feel like something's going down. I'm going to say this, right? Like, you're going to hear a lot of stuff throughout today. Board up your windows. They're all coming.
People are prepared for more broken windows, more things, threatening small businesses and big businesses after Election Day. We're seeing it in Washington, D.C. We're seeing it in New York. I imagine we're going to see it throughout big cities and probably medium-sized cities across America over the coming week, regardless of the result.
Oh! But Chad, it's going to be civil war. What makes you think it's going to be civil war? People love to talk. People love. You know what makes it think that this whole thing is like? Because not like, okay, this is it. You see how much we hate each other. Right? The algorithms point out that things that are bad are going to get more looks than things that are good. So the fluffy bunny isn't going to get the same looks as a train crash. That's just it. Every once in a while, you'll run into the lady with the Chewbacca mask laughing. That'll get 50 million views. But by and large, if you took it on an individual basis, the hate and anger will always get more eyeballs because for whatever reason, the algorithms is programmed that way. And we tend to go right towards something like that. We all talk a big game. Like, the world talks a big game. Very few people are willing to back it up. So many people, it's so easy to see how overinflated everybody's ego and toughness is when you can send a tweet or a direct message to somebody about the disdain that you have for them, their candidate, whatever it is, but you probably wouldn't say that to their face because there's repercussions for that. Mike Tyson used to say it, and I always go back to it. Everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the face. And he said it just like that, too. But it's true. Everybody's got a plan till you get punched in the face. It's like that, especially in sports, right? Because you got a meritocracy. The better person usually wins. The person who's the best athlete, he or she is usually going to outshine everybody else. And a lot of times you have a plan for something until it actually happens. People over the last year or two have been saying Lamar Jackson, who's one of the most intriguing, interesting football players to come along in the last 2 decades. People will tell you, you try to prepare for his speed, but then when you see it in real life, it is something that it's just, you can't describe it. Everybody's got plans. Here's the reality. Nobody's coming to your house tomorrow night to attack you. You're going to go vote. You may have already voted. You're going to go eat dinner. You're going to sit down and watch, hopefully, some sort of results come in. You'll wake up the next day, and you'll still have to go to work. Because so many people they're bluffing. We overanalyze. We overthink things. We do it. In the wild, you've got things like the frilled dragon. It doesn't really do anything. It frills up, makes it look bigger than it is. You have things like false water cobras that look like a cobra, do everything like a cobra, except for the fact that they're not a cobra. But in the wild, oh my God, look at that. We all have this idea that tomorrow night the country's going to burn down. Will there potentially be some unrest? But we've had 100 and how many days in a row of unrest in Portland, for God's sakes? We had a month and a half in Seattle of chaos and included giving up 6 blocks to hippies and weirdos and people who want chaos. So everybody needs to relax for just a moment. Take a deep breath. On top of all of that, we've also got lockdowns. People are getting frustrated with the lockdowns. Now we're talking about what are we going to do? Because across the board, people are looking to head inside. Because in some parts of the country, a majority of them, it's getting cooler. Places like where I live, Arizona, this is the time we come out. We just got through the time when normally everybody else is out, but we're indoors because it's 148 degrees. But just when you think things are back to normal, lo and behold, people are what? They're heading in. They're scared. The coronavirus, oh my God, what's going to happen? I don't know. What I do know is there's things we can do to protect ourselves.
Wear the mask, keep them at a certain amount of distance. What I've been telling people is study the ballot beforehand so you don't have to spend a lot of time when you're inside. You can just fill out your vote and walk away.
Yeah. So if you're going to go that tomorrow, wear the mask. And I've seen most people do what? Most people are pretty conscientious. You know, we hear about the people that aren't. We hear about the Karens and the guys fighting for their freedom and I don't want to wear a mask inside of what. We hear about that, but that happens very rarely. I have not experienced anything like that. Producer Phil, you ever experienced any yelling and screaming anywhere?
Nope, haven't seen a thing.
Yeah, me either. I haven't. Once in a while, I guess you get it on the old interwebs, but I've not. You go, you have your ballot ready, you go, you walk in, and in many cases you have your sample ballot, and you just go, yes, no, boom. Away you go, you get in and out, and you get on with your life. And you go home, and you know what? You relax. You watch something. 56% of people say it's the most stressful day of their life is tomorrow, with the COVID lockdowns and with all of this stuff. Relax. It's not going to be a war tomorrow. Now, there'll be fighting. When it comes to political verbiage and words, there'll be people who think they've won or think they've lost, that you may have some chaos in certain parts of the country where chaos has been going on for months, but that's because that's what they enjoy doing. And those cities of official have said, hey, it's okay, huh? Ted Wheeler's like, hey, come on over here to Portland and live your life the way you want. And if you want to break stuff, and if you want to throw things, and if you want to light stuff on fire, we're okay. Jenny Durkin in Seattle, if you'd like a few blocks of city, take it. It's okay. It's the summer of love. You may get some of that. The reality is you're going to have to wake up on Wednesday. You're going to have to go to work if your place is open. And you're going to have to do your job. And if Trump wins, that'll have to happen. And if Biden wins, that'll have to happen. That's what's going to happen. And then you have to look at what may take place when it comes to the coronavirus and where we're headed. That is something that is being debated on a daily basis by a lot of people who still yet to cast their vote, and they're waiting to the last minute. While it's not as big as it was in 2016, it's big enough, I still believe, to sway an election one way or another. And a lot of people are looking around and they're thinking two things. Trump screwed this up, but he didn't get it all wrong. The states screwed it up at times, but they didn't get it all wrong. The medical world and scientists have screwed it up based on the fact that the media has grabbed it and ran with it in one way or a direction, and they've changed things on too many occasions. How close are we to the thing that may help us, which is a vaccine?
Jerome Adams, the U.S. Surgeon General, says a vaccine is coming soon. But until then, Americans should try to protect themselves.
All indications are that we will have a vaccine by the end of this year, that it is going to get worse temporarily, but we have the power to limit how bad it gets and the power to turn it around. We've got to get serious here, people.
In New York City this weekend, police broke up 2 large Halloween parties that were in violation of rules set by health officials.
You're going to find that we're going to see this for the next coming several weeks. We head indoors. People are going to be closer together. Most of the people that have been getting sick globally, they're now thinking are coming from what? Indoors. Most people don't know how they get it. Most places I go, everybody's wearing a mask. I mean, I have not been anywhere in the last several weeks where 99.9% of people inside of a place isn't wearing a mask. Now, some people walk out the minute they get out of the door, they take their mask off, but they're wearing a mask. Not seeing that anywhere. At the end of the day, we're still contending with this. The good news is the numbers are falling when it comes to mortality rate, which is the thing that matters. And not just mortality rate for the 20-somethings. The seriously ill and elderly, those numbers are falling dramatically. Why is that? Because we learn how to treat it better. We're getting closer to therapeutics. The therapeutics we have, or at least we're trying, remdesivir and things of that nature, seem to be working. That's a good thing. But coronavirus is on the ballot tomorrow for two ways. One, how Trump has handled it, not handled it. And two, how will Biden handle it when it comes to not just the virus, but in particular, the economy. Because another shutdown in a large-scale way could be devastating to small businesses like we've never seen before. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter. Tweet at us. Like, hear from you. Enjoyed my Halloween, by the way. Yes, we took the kids out. Took a few kids out. We had some kids come over, like not a lot, like throughout the day. And they came over and they trick-or-treated. And the kids played games where they had ghost hunts and with things full of candy. And then a few of the kids, we all went out and we trick-or-treated and we had a great time. Went to about 10 or 15 houses that we knew were doing it. And we had a totally fine time and social distanced and everything. And it was fine. And those are the calculated risks that I'm taking with my life. Not going to live in fear. I don't think anybody else should. But a lot of people do. And that's you live your life. And that's totally fine. But some things that people were talking about last week about the canceling of this or that and the other, at some point, you're now living in this bizarre world of this is insane. You're trying to cure death. You're not trying to get people through this in a real way. Slept well last night. Slept like a dream. MyPillow, Giza Dream bed sheets. Best cotton in the world. Comfortable sheets you'll ever own. I love them. Put them on my bed. They fit every time. 100% of the time. 100% of the time. And that includes the fact that when you wash a lot of sheets, what do? They shrink up. And then they never fit right again. Ultra soft, breathable, Egyptian cotton, 6-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty. Difference. Sizes, colors. It's awesome. Now, your Giza Dream bed sheets. You can go to MyPillow.com right now. Use the promo code Benson. What do? 2-for-1 low pricing plus free shipping. Free shipping. That's MyPillow.com. Grab the 2-for-1 low pricing on the Giza Dream bed sheets with promo code Benson. Promo code Benson at MyPillow.com. Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
Sean Connery, the original Bond. James Bond. Died peacefully overnight in his sleep in the Bahamas. His son Jason Connery tells the BBC. He also says his father was, quote, unwell for some time. And Sean Connery had a lot of his family with him in the Bahamas when he died. Jason Connery says it's a sad day for all who knew and loved his dad, and a sad loss for all people around the world who enjoyed the wonderful gift his dad had as an actor. Sean Connery was 90.
Yep, Bond died, but to me, because I've never been a Bond fan, I don't really care about James Bond movies. I still don't. I can't even remember the last James Bond movie I saw. I think Roger Moore was probably the last one I saw. Maybe it might have been the Daltrey guy. But I don't think I saw any Pierce Brosnan ones. I haven't seen any Daniel Craig ones. I just don't. Bond's never been my thing. But to me, Sean Connery will always be in, and always will be, Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez from the movie Highlander. If you've never seen it, it's an amazing movie. There can only be one. These Highlanders fight. These people live for forever. And then they're drawn to a certain place and they fight against each other. And you got to cut the other person's head off. Then you get the quickening, which is kind of get all their powers and their knowledge. Oh, it's awesome. It's great. It's a movie that they should remake. A little bit more modern, but it was great. He was awesome in it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you.
Look, you gotta have faith, and you gotta go with your gut. I think gut instincts are an important tool in your toolbox. You know, using your intuition, using your instincts, and if something is gnawing at you, don't ignore that voice inside of you. Don't ignore that small, still voice.
I love that. LL Cool J talking about your gut. Go with your gut. It's one of the things Trump does. There's always a criticism of Obama. Even people that like Obama, some people even love Obama, were very aware of his paralysis by analysis. He wanted everybody to have a voice to the point where at times the voices were so loud that instead of doing anything, all the balls would be in the air, he would catch none. And LL Cool J is like, no, sometimes you got to go with your guts, right? You got to go with your gut. And I think that's a really good thing. Sometimes Trump does that. And look, doesn't mean you don't get all the voices in the room to have some sort of stay. But at the end of the day, you've got to go with because you're the one where everything is going to land on your plate anyways. So not doing anything at times can be just as bad. But you got to go with it. One of the other things he was talking about is my generation. Producer Phil and I, we're Generation X. Many of you listening are Generation X. We have been ignored. We're the smallest voting group, and we're completely ignored. They talk about the baby boomers. They talk about the millennials. They talk about the Gen Zers, but we are completely ignored. Nobody pays attention to us. Nobody vies for our vote outside of, whatever little thing they throw out there for everybody else. Nobody's specifically chasing us down because we are the smallest group out there. The funny thing is, we're the most versed group. We lived in a world pre-computer, and then we created much of what the kids enjoy today. We speak to both the older and younger generation, yet at the same time, in many cases, we are the generation that is the most ignored. Because we're small voting bloc. The baby boomers, large. The millennials, the biggest. Gen Zers, not too far. And then there's us. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Well, about the Senate, I think a lot of it depends on the presidency. In a lot of these states that are so close, a winning candidate might be able to put the Senate candidate in that state over the top. A failing candidate might drag down the Senate candidate of his party in that particular state. There are about 8 races that are too close to call, or leaning but not likely, or let alone locked up for a particular side. Most of those are Republican incumbents.
Yes. So tomorrow night, we go to the polls. Well, we go to the polls already. We've already been there. Almost 100 million people have voted. By the time we go to the polls, it'll probably be right around 100 million. That's massive. Thinking about 130-some million voted last time, you're looking at not a lot to surpass that. How many go tomorrow? 40, 50, 60, 70 million? Who knows? There's a good chance Trump could lose tomorrow and have more support than he had in 2016. There's a good chance he could win tomorrow with more support and still see him lose seats in the Senate and in the House. And there's a good chance tomorrow that everything plays the way that so many people think it is, which is Biden vote races, the Dems win everything, and that it is a new world that is nothing but blue for the foreseeable future. I couldn't tell you which way it's going to go. At this moment, I think it really is a crapshoot. I think it's going to be closer than people think. But the Senate's important, as is the congressional races. But how the Senate goes in certain states, in certain races, may tip the scale on how this thing goes, even if we don't know tomorrow. If the Republicans lose certain seats, you can look and go, oh, I don't think Trump's going to win this thing. I don't. Even if nothing is said and done, even if there is no declaration of victory, even if there is no, hey, so-and-so called me and said that he conceded, that at the end of the day, if you look at certain variables, one of them being how well do some of these senators, especially in places like Arizona, Maine, where you're looking around and you go, whoa, these things are close. If they turn out to be ugly, even if there is no clear winner yet, you could probably say to yourself, chances are Trump lost, or if they hold serve, you might say Trump may have eked this thing out.
The current balance of power is 53-47. Democrats are going to need either 4 votes, net pickup of 4 Senate seats, plus Kamala Harris as the vice president to break ties, or 5 if Donald Trump wins. So, you would need a blue wave. You would need, all of the races that are too close to call right now going Democratic for them to take control of the Senate. That could happen, as has happened in some presidential elections, but it's certainly no sure thing.
No. The reality is that Republicans may lose 1 or 2 tomorrow and still be somewhat okay if Trump wins. But if Biden wins and it's a draw in the Senate, well, that makes it a win for the Democrats. I don't know what this looks like. Lindsey Graham holds serve tomorrow. It's possible. It's possible he loses. Sally beat Mark Kelly in Arizona. It's possible she loses. Susan Collins and several others out there that are having real tight races, they may come up short, and they may surprise. Some of these things may not be as close as people think. But I can't tell you. What I do know is tomorrow is a great day for America. It is. I love it. It's a great day for America. And the reason is we get a vote. We get to go and vote. Some of you have already voted. Some of you made your choice up the day that Trump was elected. You will never vote for him, and you'll vote him out of office, even if we didn't have COVID and we had the greatest economy in the history of man and we had world peace. Your disdain for that person would not have changed. Some of you have voted for him, that no matter what he did or didn't do, no matter what he got blamed for, rightly so or wrongly so, that you are with him. And that nothing can sway you from that. And then there are people that are in the middle. In a lot of states, you go and look and see the party affiliation that's growing the fastest is independent. Because neither side has a monopoly on good or bad ideas. They just have a monopoly of the press's time. So what happens tomorrow? We win. Oh, it may not be pretty, may get ugly at times. There may be some lawsuits that are coming regardless of the outcome tomorrow night. We've already got lawsuits in Texas and several other places about mail-in ballots or signatures on the ballots, or when can you count something and not count something? What day does something have to be postmarked on, etc., etc. But we still win. Nobody's dying. Nobody's getting shot. But, yeah, there's going to be all kinds of voter supremacy. Let me tell you oppression tomorrow. Let me tell you what you're going to see. They're going to show people that, oh, look at this voter suppression over here. And then there's going to be people on the right saying, look at all these ballots that were thrown away or didn't have Trump's name on it. You'll find things like that, and they'll be all over the internet. We're still going to have, most likely, 160 million people vote. That's huge. That's a win for us. Who wins this? I couldn't tell you. What I do know is I think it's going to be completely fine. I think we're going to get through it. I don't think there's going to be a civil war at all. Now, can we have protest, chaos, and craziness?
Now, too many see the protests as the problem. No, the problem is what forced your fellow citizens to take to the streets. Persistent and poisonous inequities and injustice. And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Show me all the inequities. Show me. Show me. Well, no, show me. Show me all these horrific things that are happening on a day-to-day basis. Well, Chad, I'll show you all this. Show me why things are that way. Is it because of some guy in Wall Street? Is it because of some person in Los Angeles? Some evil person in D.C.? By the way, he's only been there 4 years. So let's not, let's go back and look at Biden's record. But we never give ourselves any credit for how far we've come in this country. We don't. We never give ourselves that. It's always the bad. Will there be protests tomorrow night if something doesn't go somebody's way? Sure there will be. Will there be violence? Smattering, potentially. But there's also violence all the time. My God, Portland just never seems to not have chaos. Seattle is chaos any day that ends with a Y. So there's lots of issues here that we can roll out. But somebody's got to play a victim, and that's what everybody's going to find tomorrow night. Who's the victim of something? It's going to be win or losers. You know who wins tomorrow? America. You have a chance to go vote. That's who wins tomorrow. You're going to go vote. I get a vote. Maybe you've already voted. We make it easier and easier, and we're trying to make it easier and easier all the time for people to vote. That's who wins. The process works. If Trump loses, the process worked. If Trump wins, the process worked. They're going to steal this. They're going to steal that. I don't buy a lot of that stuff that Trump says. Not that it can't happen. I'm not saying things can't happen. But the process works. We've had opportunities to go and campaign against one another. May not like the way they've done it. They scream, they yell, they break stuff. Yeah, my God, you're the worst person in the world. Yeah, this person's awful and evil. It used to be my, hey, guess what? My ideas are way better than your ideas. But the process works. Well, some people can't vote. Well, why can't you vote? You ever ask somebody that? Well, I can't vote. Well, why can't you vote? There's a reason for that. There's a reason why you can't vote. What's the reason why you can't vote? Show me what the reason is. Well, I can't get an ID. You're a grown-ass human being. Why do you not have an ID? Why don't you have an ID? I'm just curious why you don't have an ID. Well, I can't get to the place. Why can't you get to the place? I guarantee you if I was giving away a free cruise, you figured out a way to get down there. How important is this to you? Everybody's got an excuse. Tomorrow night, America wins. Regardless of the outcome or the non-outcome, which may be very real. We may not know anything. This may be a several-day thing that we have.
What will happen on this election night is not easy to say at this point, but it's already clear that it's not going to be easy or tidy. President Trump, after all, has made it clear that he's not going to walk away very easily. And there are all those absentee ballots to be counted, which will take a long time. So we have another extended presidential campaign and election night to look forward to.
And we may see that. We may see them continuing on some sort of little campaign thing while they count everything up and while the lawsuits happen. End of the day, though, America, we had our chance to vote, and we took it. Don't stress. Don't worry. You still have to go to work on Wednesday. That's unless Giant Meteor takes care of the thing it's supposed to take care of today. But you still have to go to work on Wednesday. There's no trophy for winning or losing the election unless you're the person who won or lost personally. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from you. Chad Benson Show TV is your YouTube. All right, check this out. Car Shield, 24/7 roadside assistance. Check. Love that. Rental car, if your car happens to go in the shop. Check. You're going to love that. And the shop is the shop you choose. Take it anywhere. Take it to your favorite mechanic your family's used for 50 years. Take it to the dealership you bought the car from. They get them paid directly. You pay small deductible. Check, check, check. Gotta love that. Now you call them up and you say, hey, CarShield. Chad told me to give you a call. Use code Benson, 800-CAR-6000. Code Benson saves you 10%. Tell them exactly what it is you're looking for, what you're worried about when it comes to your car. Transmission, air conditioning, the electronics in your car. They've got a plan that's right for you. Plans start as low as $99 a month. It's that simple, that easy. Check it out for yourself. 800-CAR-6000. Code Benson saves you 10%. Or carshield.com. Carshield.com. Make sure you use that code Benson to save 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
And I think it's terrible when we can't know the results of an election the night of the election in a modern day age of computer. I think it's a terrible thing. And I happen to think it was a terrible decision for our country made by the Supreme Court. And I think it's a very dangerous decision because you're going to have 1 or 2 or 3 states, depending on how it ends up, where they're tabulating ballots. And the rest of the world is waiting to find out. And I think a lot of fraud and misuse can take place. Now, I don't know if that's going to be changed because we're going to go in the night of. As soon as that election's over, we're going in with our lawyers.
There you go. Now, I've said all along, I don't think mail-in voting so far in everything we've seen, it has not been right with fraud. Has some fraud been found? Yes. Have both sides done stuff? I will always contend when you see fraud in elections, usually it's very small elections, mayors, things of that nature that's on the line where people can twist and do certain things, not to the nature that can sway a national election. I just don't buy it. But just because Trump says it, don't think that Biden's not going to be a part of this. If there is not a clear cut victor tomorrow night. Let's say Trump wins Florida, but he loses Pennsylvania. But it's too close to call in Michigan. But he wins Ohio, but he loses Wisconsin. You start to look around and start to say, okay, there's going to be challenges across the board. If he gets boat raced, it's over. It's done with. We move on with our lives. What happens, Chad, if Biden wins? He wins. Congratulations. Let's hope that he does the right thing for the country. I've said it all along. I'm not worried about Biden. I worry about the people behind Biden who believe, especially if tomorrow night is the blue wave, that in some way, shape, or form, that it's a mandate to, go, hell-bent on changing this country with the insanity of some of the ideas they have out there. I'm playing a game. I'm sorry. I'm not. That's nothing that I want any part of. Did you have a trouble with Obama? Not really. I didn't. I thought Obama was a pretty good president. Were the things I didn't like? Yeah, but it had nothing to do with the man and all to do with the policy. Isn't that what we want? On the other side of things, if Trump wins, you know what? Hey, get on with my life. It is what it is. I can't allow somebody to live rent-free in my head like that, especially that emotional. You have 56% of people, 57% of Americans who think this, along with COVID, when you add it all together, tomorrow is going to be the most stressful day potentially in their lifetime. I can't even imagine that. The most stressful day in your lifetime is that? Like the day that you got married, when your child was here, the day it was, none of that stuff was, it was the anticipation and all that. None of that stuff at all was stressful. I find that to be insane. I do. There are some things that, quite frankly, are worth being stressed out about on a personal. I don't find this to be one of them. No matter what happens tomorrow, we're all going to be fine. You still have to go to work on a Wednesday. You still have to do all the things you did the day before. None of those things change. It's so weird that people think that somehow magically that it's going to change. And by the way, for those of you who don't remember, that even if Trump loses on Wednesday, he's still president of the United States till January 20th. Now, he may leave, give it to Mike Pence. Say, Mike, you always want to be president, right? I've been pretty good to you. Knock yourself out. Enjoy the last 2 months. It's a possibility. He may take his ball and go home. You don't know. You don't know. And then you know in that, then he go, okay, Nikki Haley's going to be my vice president, and he usurps Kamala Harris. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Take a deep breath, relax, sit back, go up on the hilltop, look down, watch the battle of chaos and hilarious and misinformation go on. Or just Netflix and go, somebody will tweet me when I think it's time to find out if the president is Biden or Trump. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Your polls are so different than the broad number of polls out there. Can you tell us what you're seeing, Robert?
We are different, and what we're seeing is a movement toward Trump with late breakers. We're also seeing folks that had initially given every indication they were going to support Biden or they were undecided, moving toward Trump, and the issue we see them moving on is shutdowns.
Shutdowns, coronavirus shutdowns. People are exhausted. They're exhausted. They're exhausted because of the election. You know, the rest of the world, they'll decide, hey, we're going to have an election, and this is when it's going to be. It's 6 weeks till a national election. And then you got 6 weeks to prepare for it. Then it comes and it goes. And a lot of times the people in power decide when it's time for a national election. They go and they have the national election, and then we move on with our lives. Not us. No. Our elections take place, if you will, every day. The day that the election is over. When it's really over. So let's just say Thursday they decide, okay, this is who wins. The losing team will regroup. Sit back. Where did we get it right? Where did we get it wrong? How do we get ourselves better? Who are the up-and-comers that we really need to be pushing forward? Who are some of the people that are no longer a strong part of this, but actually a weaker link? How do we move on from that? What does our party stand for? Have we lost what it is? Have we become, they come up with everything. And then they sit down and they go through it. And then that's the way it breaks itself down. That's Robert Cahaley, who is Trafalgar Polling. Now, Trafalgar Polling is different. They were the ones who called it right in the last election, and they do not nationally. They do state-by-state polls. When you do state-by-state, it tends to break out something different. Right now, if you go look at their polling, Trump has a lead in most places, albeit small, but it's closer than everybody else. You go everywhere else, Trump's losing by 1,000 points. Like, Trump's losing to the point of why show up? It's a good article today, though, about the 3 words that terrify Biden. Dewey defeats Truman. It's in Yahoo Finance and Bloomberg. Dewey defeats Truman. By all accounts, Dewey had it won. People were sick and tired of what they had before. They're over it. Truman needs to go, right? FDR, he's gone. Truman needs to go. This is just too much. We need to just move on. And this guy he's coming in and he's part of the establishment. He's moderate. He's all of these things. And by all accounts, he was up huge. And, of course, the famous picture of Truman holding up the paper that says, Dewey defeats Truman. Those 3 words, is that possible? It is. Anything is possible tomorrow. I'm here to tell you that right now. Now, where is the momentum, Lindsey Graham?
Donald Trump is working his butt off. These rallies are making a difference. Keep it up, Mr. President. The momentum is with Republicans. It's with Trump.
Those rallies are killing thousands of trillions of people. Over the weekend, I saw that. It's like it's been linked to 30,000 cases and 300 deaths or something. And I'm like, how do you know that? And why, when there was unrest in the street, that nobody said this is linked to anything? But now this is linked to something. You're an adult. If you want to go to those things, go to those things. I'm not going to sit here at this point. I don't care. The election's here tomorrow. By all accounts, by Thursday, these things will be done, and we'll figure out why Thursday. I still have a feeling we're going to have potentially a day of uncertainty on Wednesday. Wednesday may be more chaotic than tomorrow. So what are we looking for tomorrow? That's a big, big thing right there. You're looking first and foremost to Florida. If Florida and North Carolina break towards Biden, I think you can expect the night as a whole will break towards the Democrats. If Trump wins Florida, if he holds North Carolina, and somehow along the way he manages to win Arizona, but even though he may lose, let's just say Michigan or Pennsylvania, he wins one of those, and Ohio, potentially Wisconsin, then you can expect the night to be long, and over the next coming several days, potentially with lawsuits from both sides fighting each other from different, you're going to have lawsuits flying over from different states across the board. Here's something else. Biden wins Texas. Not saying it's going to happen. According to the polls, though, it's much closer than people think. If he happens to win Texas, doesn't matter about the rest. Good night. It's over. Good night now. It's the famous Jim Rome sports guy would say. It's over. It would be over. Good night. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye, Trump. Where are you going? Bye-bye. Chad, do you think there's going to be chaos? And no, I don't. I don't think there's going to be chaos. I think producer Anthony and Phil and I were talking about this off the air, and we've talked about it numerous occasions. And I continue to say, if you could make an app that was Civil War, so the Civil War would be in an app. Maybe there's chaos inside of the app. We are a nation that needs food brought to our house. That lives off Amazon Prime. Do I think for a moment that 50 million Americans are going to rise up and take to the streets to fight? No. And a lot of the things that you may see go south tomorrow night have very little to do with wins or losses on either side. Most people, some people, are betting for chaos just out of curiosity. Let's see what happens when there's chaos. Can things go south? And see, a lot of these people that are out there in Portland, in Seattle, and several other places are out there to cause chaos. They don't really care about anything that's going on. They don't care about Biden. They don't care about Trump. They can't stand any of these parties. They just are interested in the chaos. So, no, I don't think there's going to be anything tomorrow night that's going to be chaotic outside of a few issues of maybe people being pissed in certain places and throwing stuff at they're always throwing. They're never throwing anything at a library. You ever notice that? Nobody's breaking into the library. Quick, get the books. What books did you? I got all kinds of books. Nobody's ever doing that. Ever. Have you ever noticed that? Like, the library may catch fire, but it only caught fire because the places they were trying to get into were burned down. Well, they were just happened to be close by. But nobody's breaking into a library. Because let's be honest, if that happened, we'd all kind of laugh. Did you guys hear what happened? What? They broke into the library, took all the books. No way. Yeah, totally. Is anybody mad? No, I think it's actually pretty good. It's always some place that has sneakers, or apparel that they like. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. But the exhaustion that people are feeling is very real. With COVID, with the election. And what took place in Britain yesterday, and this announcement, is a very real thing of what people are worried about here in the States.
The current regional measures simply aren't doing the job, hence a more drastic move to a national shutdown to curb the virus spread. Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
From Thursday until the start of December, you must stay at home. You may only leave home for specific reasons, including for education, for work, let's say if you cannot work from home.
Medical officials here say without this strong measure, the UK health system could be overwhelmed within weeks.
Yeah. And that's big because I think a lot of people are looking around and they're seeing the numbers continue to fall when it comes to mortality. While the numbers are rising, the numbers are falling when it comes to mortality. People are looking at their bank accounts being dwindled, a do-nothing Congress and federal government that hasn't put anything else out there, states that are now at the point where they're going bust because they've promised too much to the world and the federal government hasn't delivered, and both sides playing politics, and they're saying to themselves, you know what, at this point, it's time for us to get on with our lives. It's time for us to say we're going to have to do this. We're going to have to learn to live with it, through it, and around it. We're going to have to take actual calculated risk about what we can and can't do for ourselves and get on with it. They don't want to check. They want to earn. They don't want a handout in a situation like this anymore. They want to be able to live their own life. They want their liberty back, and they want, some self-respect back. I've talked to so many people who've said, Chad, if you'd have told me several months ago what my life would be like today, I would have said you're out of your mind. But this is where you're at. And a lot of people are there. And it's frustrating, and they don't want another thing outside of just letting them get back to, well, they can't do that, Chad. No, they can't. They can. We could overrun the system. We could overrun the system. There's a possibility. But at some point in time, what's going on now doesn't seem to be working the way that everybody else thinks it should be working. So we protect the vulnerable and we allow those that feel they can take a calculated risk to start to live their lives so we can not only protect the vulnerable, so we can fund all the things that need to be funded with the government not coming out and going, we're going to have to print more money to hand it out to people because we're telling them not to work. People want their lives back. And the worry is Biden may want to slow everything down again and be potentially the commander, the chief, and the shutdown guy. And that scares people. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from you. AMAC, Association Mature American Citizens, fastest growing over 50 organization in the country. Out there fighting on your behalf for common sense immigration reform, making sure Medicare's solvent, Social Security solvent, fighting for your liberties. You know, remember those liberty things that we used to have? They're out there working hard on both aisles, trying to say, hey, guys, we need to protect free speech. We need to protect the Second Amendment. We need to protect a lot of different things that you guys seem to be forgetting about because you're using politics and lobbyists in ways that, well, quite frankly, take too much away from the American people. Top of that, they offer great discounts. Retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, travel discounts, you name it, they offer it. Now's your chance to grow with an organization by going to amac.us/Chad, amac.us/Chad. It's pennies on the day. I mean pennies. Virtually nothing to join. And you get all of these great benefits. And it is truly a worthwhile organization. Find out today. amac.us/Chad. amac.us/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
A lot of us may have already voted, but millions are expected to vote in person on Election Day. And Georgetown law professor Mary McCord is a little worried about that.
We could be talking about armed groups trying to stoke, frankly, trying to provoke the left into starting something so that they can respond forcefully and violently and invoke self-defense. We've seen that pattern before.
She says no matter how you're voting, intimidation could extend well beyond the typical neutral zone right around polling places.
Voter intimidation laws apply everywhere. I mean, they even apply miles and miles away from an election zone. You cannot intimidate people to put them in fear of voting for the candidate of their choice.
And the potential for trouble could last a while.
The escalation I'm more concerned about is the post-election day potential confrontations, because, we are likely to have a period of uncertainty.
So it's armed right militia that's showing up. And yeah, Chad, and I'm going to show you where. Let me tell you what you're going to get tomorrow. You're going to get that, and then you're going to get people on the right showing you blank pages for voting for president, right? Or where only Biden is on the ballot, or stuff thrown away. It's not. We are always looking for some sort of evil, some sort of boogeyman. We're always looking for that. Like Trump right now is the biggest boogeyman in the world, right? Isn't he? He's evil. He's bad. Is he really? Well, the things he says is not nice. He's killed 250. Shut up. Shut up. Enough. We're always looking for the boogeyman. Who's the bad person? Who's the boogeyman? Who's this? Well, it's the armed right militia, or it's the people who are in charge of the mail-in voting that's going to destroy every. Settle down. Common sense is ceasing to exist anymore. Are there some people out there that are some bad news? Of course. We have 360 plus million people in America. To think that there's not knuckleheads, you'd be fooling yourself. We're not robots or androids. So yeah, there's some knuckleheads. But are there really that many? Is there really that many? Or do we only see the bad? Of course, we only see the bad. Because the bad is what draws us in to watch something, and we're programmed that way in the world of AI through algorithms that we will search out stuff that is more damaging, destructive, angry, hateful than we will fluffy bunnies. It's easier to be negative than it is to be positive. What do you hear about today? Well, they're shutting down areas and they're boarding up stuff. Well, why? Because some people are going to be knuckleheads tomorrow. Possibly. But they were knuckleheads yesterday, too, in parts of this country. And they're angry over here. And they're angry for several different reasons. And people take opportunities to go do stupid things. But it's so minute comparatively to what's really happening. But it gets all the attention. And it doesn't matter what it is. A shark bites somebody and kills them. People focus on that. Oh, my Lord. Right? We see what happens with police in this country. One thing. And that's all things. That's every police officer. But it's not. You know that. Will there be some incidents tomorrow where maybe some things happen? It's possible. You may have 70 million people going to the ballot tomorrow. 60 million people. There's going to be some knuckleheads. But they'll make it out to be that it's every person that goes voting for Trump or voting against Trump. Stop it. Just take a deep breath. Vote. Get yourself a little snack, go back to work, go home, watch a little bit of it, and then over the next coming 24 to 48 hours after that, we'll let it play itself out. But everybody's looking for a boogeyman. I'm here to tell you, ain't a boogeyman out there. It isn't. Trump isn't the boogeyman. Biden isn't the boogeyman. They're just two individuals that are flawed, that are running for president, and that's it. And we need to take a deep breath and remember tomorrow, who wins? America. Why? Because we go to the polls, we vote, we have our say. It's what makes this democratic republic amazing. Very much so. Have a blessed day. Tomorrow's it. We'll do it again tomorrow. You guys be safe, be good to each other. As always, night, night, Jack.
This is The Chad Benson Show.